And today we're going to talk about a struggle or competition between opposing forces.
What is that, Greta?
That would be war.
It is war.
Talking about our personal wars,
Personal.
mental wars, physical wars,
Yeah, all kinds.
all the wars in our life, the effects of war, everything war related, which is not a very happy topic, but it's a topic that has to be discussed.
Yeah, it's a good topic.
It's a deep topic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, want to read the definition again one more time?
Yeah, so war has many definitions. You could be a state of usually open and declared armed hostile conflict between nations or states.
Nice.
A period of such armed conflict, which is, from one.
Mm-hmm.
You could be in a state of war, which includes, total war. There's the obsolete and archaic of weapons or equipment of war, soldiers armed, a state of hostility and conflict, and the one that I just stated, which is a struggle or competition between opposing forces for a particular end. And
general one.
I think that's the best one.
Yeah.
Is the action verb of war, or the definition of it. But yeah, that's war.
War.
It's such a simple concept that we
Yeah.
play around with so much.
Mm-hmm.
Game of War, World of Warcraft.
Gears of War. God of War.
War. But it's a really unfortunate thing,
Yeah.
war itself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's ironic, too, because in some ways, without that war,
Well, I wouldn't be here.
no.
Definitely not.
No.
That's the crazy thing. It's like, I'm here because of a secret war. And that's crazy. And not many people know about it.
No.
Secret war. What are you talking about?
That's what it was dubbed. It was dubbed the Secret War.
Oh.
The war in Vietnam that got Hmong people involved. It was called the Secret War. So there's the Vietnam War, and then alongside it is the Secret War, because the CIA didn't want people to know that they were using boys and men to help combat the communists in Southeast Asia. And so it was dubbed the Secret War, and there's been some movements to uncover it and be transparent about it from the highest law in the land. But I still think that a ton of people don't know about it, and I always do my best to try to educate people on it, because it's called the Secret War for a reason, and it is a part of America's history, but people don't know it. So
Yeah. And that's the unfortunate thing is the things that people did to get us where we are.
yeah.
That we don't even remotely think about
Mm-hmm.
or are sometimes even vaguely appreciative of.
Right.
I think it's funny too because we just take it for granted. Even today, I mean, if you look at efforts to basically pull troops out, it's like you have to realize that this situation that we're in today, like we're living in an undeclared war state for our entire lives, and we don't even really fully realize it.
since 9/11.
Yeah.
We've been our whole lives basically have been war, constantly war, and it's crazy because I remember my civics teacher in high school. He was an older cat, but he was really cool. He was part of that. I think he was part of the 60s, 70s era, so he grew up in that time, and he was, I'm pretty sure he was pretty pacifist and whatever, but he was ever since 9/11, at the time it was 15 years at war, but then
Right.
it's basically our whole lives at war, and it's crazy to think that we live day by day, but we are involved in a war, so
And that's
indirectly, and it's every day. It's just a fact.
And that's the thing too. If you look at recently, there was an article that was released about pulling troops out of Turkey, and there was a bunch of shit that happened.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Because the consequence of us leaving
Yeah.
means that all these people could take over, and it's the fight of
That literally just happened, right?
literally, yeah.
Okay.
And it's are we the world's police?
Maybe.
No,
I don't know.
we're. That's not what our duty and our responsibility is.
Great power, though. Great responsibility.
Yeah, but it's not our duty to take care of other people's shit.
Great
I
ability.
mean, a lot of countries rely on
Great
the
accountability.
U.S. already, so
Right.
essentially we kind of all have to be that world police
Yeah, I
in
don't
order
know.
to enforce, I guess, the economic fair trade and all that.
Right. But
So it's-
there's a point though, right?
Where's the line?
Exactly. Where's the line of demarcation? You can't be responsible for everything. I mean, at that point, it's then what's the purpose of having different places in the world if there's one person controlling all of it?
I feel like
don't
there's
know.
so many countries out there that rely on the U.S., like both economically and militarily,
Right.
such as South Korea,
South Dakota.
Europe, in a way.
But I'm saying in places where we really don't have any business being there.
Like what, the Middle East,
Yeah.
Oil.
Israel.
Israel, sure.
Well, man, that's deep rooted.
That's
That's interesting.
land,
I don't
isn't
know.
it?
I mean, they
Yeah.
intervened in the 80s, 70s, and it's like, well, I guess we should stick with our guns.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I just think war itself is a terrible thing to be in, and I feel like we need to try harder not to. I don't want to say, well, yeah, we need to try harder to avoid it if it's possible. And I feel like sometimes we just kind of forget the reality of it, and we just think like, oh, well, if all this tension stuff happens, then it happens, and we forget that there's consequences to those things that can lead to millions of people dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just feel like our generation forgets that a lot because we haven't experienced it. We've heard of experiences, but we haven't. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's
I feel like we know. I feel
we
like
know,
I
but
feel like for sure because like, you know, we are scared of war, but we're in an undeclared war.
Right.
But then everyone like people can be well educated on what the consequences of like biowarfare are and everything. So I think for sure as a generation, and maybe millennials too, like I think we know that if World War III happened, then there's, you know, terrible things are gonna happen. And if there's another war that we have to get involved in because we're the United States,
right.
then like there's gonna be, you know, bad consequences
Right, I
because
think,
we
like,
always have to send troops.
Relating to like the Middle East part, I think it's like, I mean, there's also like Iran also like, also trying to be aggressive and
Well-
stuff like that. It's like if you don't intervene, is like then your ally Israel
Well,
or
and-
Saudi
and-
Arabia, who you trade with, also is kind of like there's a lot of instability. So like in that sense, is there like something worth fighting for if there was a war?
Well, and that's where I feel like I think I mentioned this in one of the previous episodes too, but especially in particular with Iran, we created an issue in a way that we now have to kind of fix. And that's part of it, is that we got involved too soon and we tried to make deals that couldn't be promised because traditionally, historically, they never work in those countries.
It was us trying to set up their government for them, right? A little bit, but we failed to do that.
Yes, and then there was a 10-year peace agreement, which
Wait, can you give
the
some
Iran deal.
examples of when and where that happened?
What do you with
Like-
Iran?
Or like in the past, the U.S. have like set up governments or something. So.
Well, no, we haven't. I don't know
think
where that came from.
it was-
We haven't set up governments.
It was the idea was we should have helped them more.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is we got involved and tried to help them in issues that we weren't involved in any way. And then that created an issue for us that now we feel obligated to stay in because we contributed to it. The issue of, Iran, right? We had really they don't need us there, really. If you look at the interviews from people and big government officials and stuff talking about the United States, they really, all of the rebuilding efforts that we do there, all this kind of stuff that we do doesn't profit the country in any way and doesn't really even give them a sense of independence. So a lot of the people there, they either hate the United States because of all the propaganda against us, or they love us because we provide them with housing and things that they can't get access to or something else. There's a lot of conflict that we've unintentionally created by trying to be nice. The whole ISIS issue, if you want to talk about that too, that's a whole can of words. We in a sense created that.
Yep.
So that, again, I just feel like sometimes we forget because, we're not doing the things that a lot of people had to deal with in World War II, where we have to have drills in class.
Yeah.
Okay, I get
You
it.
know,
I get
like-
that, yeah, we created the problems, but like, should we just leave them be? Like, what happens if we just let them run rampant or something?
Then that's the situation we're dealing with
Right.
now, because we need to figure out ways to get out without creating too much instability.
Okay, so what's the solution?
I don't know.
There's no easy solution.
There is no easy solution.
Right.
Because we're in war, and
Yeah.
any decision we make is going to have consequences.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of war, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was real close. Like I think it was a month ago that Trump almost like tried to like bomb something in Iran over some the tensions back. I forgot what event exactly triggered that.
Was it the Iran deal?
No, it was after that where like Iran was like being aggressive or something.
I think
they were like they were like bombing like Saudi Arabian like oil plantations or something, and then like in response there could be like a counterattack. Trump was like, and then it was like, oh no, I realized there's gonna kill like so and so amount of people, so like no.
I don't remember.
But it reached to a point where it's almost happened, and that would have been like a bigger.
Was that a few weeks ago?
That was like a month ago, I say.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Oh, when the oil thing, when they bombed the oil thing.
And they're saying like, oh, it's actually Yemeni rebels and not us, even though we used our airplanes.
And
they saw that.
And that's the thing where I'm saying is that when they're fighting each other, and then we're like this. We're like trying to be a mediator.
Oil.
well, right, because that's the thing is it's
economic trade. There's
exactly. This is and that's the thing is like money. This is a war over resources at the end of the day, which is something that a lot of global warming people will talk about. But I mean, honest to God, we're fighting over resources. Like this is about oil, which is our. We can't live without it, so we feel obligated to be involved somehow.
So is that something worth to get over war? To get into war with?
I mean, any war traditionally over history is any battle. Typically, obviously there are different reasons for battle, but a majority of the time it's due to resources, lack of water, lack of food shortage, all that kind of stuff.
Not like political instability or any like ideology.
There definitely are.
Yeah.
Nazis, but I think communism exactly.
Yeah.
But ultimately, too, as well, if you look at those countries, they were still during war fighting over resources. I mean, think about the whole Balkan state, the whole powder keg, World War I even. There were resources involved that created tension between countries and determined which countries would be allies and which would be the Axis powers.
So you're saying it started because there's a resource struggle that people fought over for World War I or what?
No. World War I was...
Or World War II, which one?
World War II, I feel...
World War II is, I guess, in a sense, also resource-driven, since Germany wanted some more space or something. So.
Exactly. Because it's at the end of the day, it's about land.
Yeah.
And it's about control.
Mm-hmm. That's so crazy to think
and if you can control people's resources and land, you can control them.
That's so crazy that people are trying to, still trying to conquer different peoples today and shit like that. Like, that's so crazy in 2019, like with how connected the world is.
Wait, like where?
That's so crazy. Like Russia and
Ukraine.
Ukraine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they?
Hong Kong too.
as soon as were we involved in that?
No. We just said nope. You can have it.
Yep.
But they
and like UN's like big no Russia.
But Russia moved
like,
in though, right? Didn't Russia still move in to take?
They did take it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And those poor Ukrainian people.
Yeah, now it's in the past.
That's so crazy. Like
it could. The very same thing could happen in Hong Kong right now. So it's a very current event.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But there's a huge resistance, like literally over like half the population in Hong Kong is like against.
Yep.
Which is, you still need room for them.
And that's what I'm saying is that because I feel like sometimes of all the distractions we have in the modern age, we don't realize how serious some of this stuff is that's going on halfway across the country and the world. I mean, Hong Kong is a serious tension.
Should we not intervene if there's any like sudden aggression or whatever, which is kind of similar to Iran?
I think it
depends.
If we intervene, it's to keep it contained.
Yep.
Not get involved to sway one way.
But then I guess because if we look at World War II again, involvement with when we got involved, it was at the perfect time. Like we entered. Some people say, oh, well, okay. The only reason the U.S. got involved was Pearl Harbor. That was our first That was the trigger. And then everything else kind of fell into place. But for us, in order to get involved in that, we need some
catalyst.
Exactly. We need like a catalyst to start our involvement. If it doesn't affect us, generally,
like directly or indirectly, because it'd be
well,
it could be like resources like Iran would be indirectly kind of affecting the U.S. in terms of trade.
But I don't think it would justify war. Does that make sense? Because in order for the president to declare war, I really do feel like he, like, full on total war declaration, like whatever, we would have to have some imminent threat to our country.
I mean, if there's a huge lack of oil and like gas prices rise, they could be a threat.
But it's not.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, we could go to war over it, but I don't know.
Until we find some better renewable sources.
There's a difference between that and then getting Pearl Harbor bombed.
Oh, yeah, of course.
No, it's so funny to think that, like, if Trump declared war, we'd probably hear it over Twitter first.
Oh, God.
He did that for, like, the reason why I did not bomb the Iran is because I realized innocent people were dying.
I'm saying, we'd probably see it over Twitter first.
I think that's the first thing he tweeted, like, how he did not kill people.
No, yeah, I want to go back to that World War II point, like doing drills in class. Like,
yeah,
I remember I had this crazy idea, not crazy, but like I had this idea to write a story about, you know, time traveling or whatever, and you go back to the 50s. But then like, or it wasn't an idea to write about, but I was thinking about like, hey, like I want to go back to maybe the 50s or the 40s just to see how it was and like see golden age America, quote unquote. But then like, I was like, one, racism, so big no. Also, two, like, they had to duck and cover, like, a lot.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine how scary that was.
They had drills.
Yeah.
People had rations.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
Yeah, rations and build bunkers and stuff like that. Like, I couldn't imagine how scary that was.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
Looking up all the time.
We don't even know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know about my parents. Like,
right.
I don't even know the extent to that.
Right.
Like, yeah.
We have no idea. We think we do, but we really don't.
I mean, we could be in a similar position now. I mean, everyone definitely still has.
I remember North Korea.
We're not rationing food.
Right. So
we're not given stamps to have a certain amount of things.
Because that was during the Kennedy Cuba stuff and those
Cuban
high tensions.
And the Cold War and all that. And
so that is also quite fresh after World War II and the Soviet Union got more power and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think it kind of dissipated over in a way. Russia is still similar to the Soviet Union in some aspects.
Got some ASMR going on over there.
Yeah, a little bit. No, but yeah, like I can't even imagine. And to have someone who's just a generation away from me go through war, like I should ask my mom or my grandpa about that.
Yeah.
Sometime, because it's like, you know, one, a lot of the warriors are dying off. Like a lot of the Hmong men who fought are passing away, and two, like, just there's a whole dynamic because they see all sides of the war. Because my grandpa served, and then his family had to run, and so it's like, all right, I'm going this way. I'm gonna go fight. You guys have to run this way, and like, you know, I wonder what that felt like and how frantic it was and how fast everything moved because it was. I bet it was really, really fast and, you know, scary at the beginning, but then, like, it was a lot of high anxiety, a long time waiting because they had to trek a long way, and two, had to wait in the whole, like, refugee process, too. So I might have to ask about that sometime.
You should.
Yeah.
Get back to us on that.
I have to record the stories before it's too late.
Yeah, do that. My grandfather on my dad's side, he was involved in World War II. Mm-hmm. And he was a soldier. We recorded some of his stories that he has. I haven't listened to them. My mom hasn't pulled them up because she has to fix the tape, whatever. But he was quite a guy, captured by the Russians, which is always a story.
This grandpa.
And he grew up in Hamburg. He ended up fighting on Germany's side because that's what you did when you lived in Germany. You had no option.
Yeah.
Captured by the Russians. They told him at one point that he, you know, had to drink a bunch of vodka and, you know, they were friends with him and everything. And then they said, okay, now walk in a straight line. And if you don't, we'll shoot you.
Oh,
ended up managing to escape and then became an artist and fudged his papers all the way back to Hamburg and migrated to the U.S., and that's that story.
But he wasn't a Nazi.
Well,
Technically, he
By-
was.
yeah, by
part
technicality,
is,
yeah.
Technicality, yes, but he was not. No.
That's crazy.
No.
That
Yeah,
is
you
crazy.
don't want to be captured by the Russians either.
No. So it's like either way, you're screwed. But that's this thing is that, you're, especially, and that's something that I remember him saying too, is that we always have this conception that, the people were delusional when they supported Hitler, and that they, whatever, and they were making, a decision, and they just didn't know what they were doing and everything. But the thing was that you have to remember is that when he became, into power, everybody loved him.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had no other, they didn't question
Maybe through
anything.
fear.
Not even that.
No,
They-
he was a
he was
politician. He
popular.
was saying
That's true.
things that people wanted
Everybody loved him
Yeah, he
and
was-
trusted
to hear.
him.
He was a politician. Yeah.
He was saying, things like, let's get rid of guns. Let's, make our society better. Let's, just saying all these things of like cleaning up and peace and, social. I mean, as a socialist policy, it's making things sound so good.
Mm-hmm.
And that appeal of, of everybody loving each other and whatever was so great. And then to just obviously not follow through on that.
Except for the other European nations, they are actually the reason why Germany is in that position of economic ruin.
Exactly.
And then when you have a us against them mentality, stuff can get pretty aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
And that's we don't understand the like dynamic of it. Like when he started that, I'm sure he probably felt proud because he was a soldier. He had a suit. He was defending his country, and that's what you did. But then to go to the front lines and see that and experience all that crap, and then to be betrayed by your country, I just think that's, in any war, that's a horrible feeling
Yeah.
to experience.
That's so crazy too. Like, especially with that extreme of an example, like
Right.
fighting for the Nazis but not really being one. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like it's crazy to think that there will always be people who want to fight a war or who are
Mm-hmm.
down to defend their country and lay their lives down. But it's so crazy thinking like the people on the other side are doing just the same thing.
Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, who are the people? They're bankers.
Yeah,
They're
the
tellers.
rich people are
Yeah.
waging the wars with
Right.
poor people.
Aristocrats.
Right.
Yeah.
The people fighting are just the shoe salesmen.
Yeah,
At the end of World War II, they always talk about how, when the U.S. and the Germans, obviously there were tensions, but at the end of the day, when the war was over, it was, hey, are you okay?
yeah,
Like, we're both, no one wants to fight.
yeah.
That's
It was there's a
awful.
there's a quote that I heard. It's a quote from somewhere else, but I heard it in a Fort Minor song, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
when the rich wage poor, when the rich rage war, it's the poor who die. And it's
Yeah.
like that's true. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's so crazy. And then like you think of hearing those stories like, oh, it was Christmas time, and then the soldiers like they laid down their weapons and they went across the trenches and they
Mm-hmm.
celebrated with the other side, and it's like that's
Oh yeah, the Christmas.
at the end of the
tree
day, and then like they're playing soccer and
That was
playing
special,
cards, and like
yeah.
at the end of the day, it's just people standing up for what they think is right. But
Right,
then
'cause-
again, it's a draft. Like these people were just
Yeah.
pulled into it, and like I
think-
guess I'm a nationalist for my country. Like I love my country. What
Yeah.
else am I gonna say?
I think comparing World War II to World War One, I think World War One is more like the soldiers did not really know why they were fighting. It's kind of like whoa, it's a fun time. We were actually getting a lot of stuff were happening, changing around the time.
World War One was a very interesting situation.
Right, because it's the first time they use like modern like weapons, machine guns,
Well-
and stuff like that.
well,
And
even-
it's been since the last big war was
But-
like 18 something.
It was so different in that they had no form of reference to what to expect.
Right.
Right.
Like when we think of, if we're going into World War III eventually, which I would guarantee is probably going to happen at some point.
Sometime in our lifetime.
Maybe or
Unfortunately, it's going to,
That's gonna be scary.
oh yeah, our whole world's going to be effed. But
Yeah.
anyway, World War One, they had no form of reference of what to expect.
Nope.
At all.
Nope.
So you had all of these kids going, well, hey, all my lads are going to sign up.
The lads are gonna go sign up.
Exactly. whatever. I'm going to be proud. I'm going to make my family proud. I'm going to go on this exciting adventure, and I get to be buff, and I get to be how to be a man.
So the propaganda tells you that you're gonna be like the greatest person alive to fight for your country.
And then you show up and everyone dies.
Shell shock.
Yeah.
Shell shock,
think
which
World-
wasn't even recognized until
For
World War
World War II, I think it's more ideological based. In terms of like, so there's less of like a question on why they're
I
fighting.
forget why we get involved.
World
why we got
War
involved
One-
in World War One. Why did we get
World War
involved in
One
World
is
War One again?
Pearl
because
Harbor.
there's a ton.
No,
of,
World War One.
Oh, World War One?
There's a ton of like treaties made by Austria-Hungary.
Why did we
Germany,
get involved in World War One? I forget.
And
I know it
well,
started.
because there's this one guy from was it Bosnia or something that got shot, or
The Archduke.
Serbia, the Archduke, right?
Archduke of.
But that's like
it was so in early it was the sinking of American merchant ships
that
went across
So there's a bunch
Berlin,
of reasons.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
people always refer to the Archduke, but I don't think that's necessarily like the case. I think there's tons of other factors.
We joined Britain, France, and Russia to fight in World War One.
against Austria-Hungary, Germany,
Yep.
and Ottoman Empire.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is also why, if you look at the situation going on in Spain with the Catalonian people wanting to separate from the rest of Spain,
España.
it's the same exact.
I forgot that was happening
It's
too.
the same exact
Holy shenanigans.
situation that was going on in World War One, which is terrifying.
What's that coddle whatever
the Catalan-
situation again?
The Catalan.
The Catalan
So
people.
that means Barcelona and Real Madrid would not be in the same.
Rip.
Well, no. So
Rip El
I can
Clásico.
speak a little on this because I did go to Spain in 2017 when this kind of first. Well, it didn't. It's been going on for a
Yeah.
while, but started to heat up, if you will.
Yeah.
So pretty much what happened is that the Catalan people, they're a separate ethnic group in the north of
Yeah.
Spain. They have their own language. They have their, they're still Spanish, but they have their own.
dialect different.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
They're their own ethnic group. They have their own people, their own culture, whatever.
That's their Barcelona.
Industry.
Yeah,
What?
that's Barcelona's from Catalonia.
Ah.
No.
Yeah,
I think it is.
It's the regional capital.
Right.
It's the capital.
Yeah.
But the north of Spain is where they all are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
North and east.
Right. So what they want to do is separate the north of Spain and Barcelona. But Spain won't ever give up Barcelona. But the whole north they want as their own country.
Right.
Because, and I can tell you from being there, it's very different from the rest of Spain. When you cross the border into the Catalan region, they have soldiers who will, without any warrant or anything, literally search your vehicle, ask to see every person's ID and passport, and then question you, and then allow you to go through.
That's so crazy. They declared independence on the 27th of October, 2017.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And then it's
crazy.
like not many countries actually seem that as
Right, as
was it legitimate.
Yeah.
Right. So even though, there was a small victory going on there, it's very minor in comparison to the rest of what they want.
right.
Because they really are different. And it's the thing too is that like when you talk to the people there, what happens, and this is also something that is a huge point of contention there, is that when Spain, for one, put in their whole green energy policy, it was fantastic sounding because obviously, you're enforcing, green energy and everything. But what happened is that a lot of people in the north of Spain, where a lot of that energy industry was based, lost their jobs. So a lot of them lost employment, and they're surviving in tourism, for one. And then for another, when you add in the fact that their government is basically putting a lot of their immigrants from Africa and things, and a lot of their, refugees and things, they're putting them in the north because they don't really know what to do with them because the south is too populated and too crime heavy. And they don't want them because they're going, hey, listen, we just want to be our own people. Why are you doing this to us? This is illegal. Because they have the north, by the way, is full of historical religious sites. Like there are giant cathedrals made right after Notre Dame that are just gorgeous. There's all this historical.
Rip Notre Dame.
There's the castle of Ferdinand and Isabella that has been spray painted with Catalan people want, rights or whatever. Like, it's insane. And so then you talk to the people, like our tour guide, multiple tour guides we had, but this one tour guide in particular, we asked, I was like, well, like, how is, immigration here and whatever. And they're like, well, we want to help these people and we're doing the best we can. But when they trash these, things that can't ever be repaired, what do you do? And it's a really hard predicament of wanting to help people.
You go to war.
Right. Tying this all together, the refugees there because of war.
Right.
In the Middle East. It's like, oh my goodness, the world is such a bad place.
I forget that there's stuff going on in Africa too.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
the African
hell
warlords.
Yeah, like I got a buddy who's like, if I get deployed, there's a chance that I could go to Africa.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck's going on in Africa?
And this is the other thing too. All the immigrants, especially in the south of Spain, and a majority of the homeless people are African.
Yeah.
Which you just don't expect. I don't know why, but you just don't expect to see that.
Yeah, I totally forget that there's stuff going on in Africa.
Yeah.
I
mean,
like
literally.
Nigeria, it's like Boko Haram and all
It's
the terrorists over
horrible.
there.
The child soldiers, that whole mess.
Or the kidnapping of the girls, the young girls.
Yeah.
By Boko Haram, like that was crazy too. And there's still a ton of them missing.
There is so much stuff going on that we don't think about.
Yeah.
And it's terrible.
And that's
So do you
Eastern
wanna-
Europe and Africa. What about the West? What about Brexit?
Wait, do you want to intervene
God.
if there's
Is that gonna do
terrible
anything?
things going on in the world?
We kind of
Ooh.
No, we can talk about that Boko
Intervention,
Haram
I
and
think.
terrorism.
Because why doesn't the U.S. just go in there and stop it?
they're trying to help, but
We're
then
trying.
but then again,
Right. But it's like, how
they-
much intervention should
there's
we do?
tribal stuff too that we don't even.
there was stuff that was going on. There's like the African Union, and so those countries surrounding Nigeria are working together to try to curb the power of Boko Haram, and the U.S. got involved very minutely from what
Yeah.
I remember
Unfortunately,
from my
I think
research.
It's because like the U.S. is not really getting it.
Well, I mean,
out of
the
it,
Green
so-
Berets have gone in there a few times
Yeah.
and cleaned up shop, but that's
And then there was we sold like a few fighter jets to
Yeah.
to Nigeria or one of the surrounding countries in the Chad River Basin, but like there's no real point. Like the U.S. is a very outside party. I don't.
Yeah.
There's
There's
some
no
oil.
interest-
There's some
there's
oil
no
exports
interest
from
in
there,
Africa,
but
which is
there's
why-
not enough.
Yeah.
it's parts, like I don't want to say that it's too violent for the U.S. to be involved in, but there are things like, even the presentation of Western education will have you murdered.
Oh yeah, that's right. Boko Haram is loosely translated to like Western life is forbidden. Like
Yeah.
it very loosely translates to that.
So that's what I'm saying.
It'd
It's
be
like
a
we
Vietnam
could go
War
there,
2.0,
but what
it's
good is
like-
that going to do us?
Yeah.
Because we get there, we try to educate them, and then they all get
And they're like
killed.
burning state houses and like office buildings and shit. But like
Yeah.
it's then again it comes down to that question, like you have all this power, where's your responsibility? Like you have a responsibility to fulfill.
But are we the world's police?
Exactly. It comes down to that again.
And I
like,
don't think we are.
great with
I
great
think- I don't think
accountability
we are.
comes great
So
accountability.
There's like this political science term where it's like, like the world is like an anarchy, technically. Like, there's no actual higher level like entity, government institution that tells what is wrong and what is right between the sovereign nations.
Illuminati.
And in terms of like the U.S. being like a sole superpower, like they have to keep everyone like in check in a way, because if someone has like a regional supremacy, say like China around the Asian area, then potentially off of there, since China has like some kind of base, which is why the U.S. is heavily invested in the Navy, has like 20 something aircraft carriers compared to like the world's combined
Oh,
of,
yeah.
like 8. And that's important because of the regional supremacy kind of thing. Like the U.S. does not want anyone to be able to like dominate their own region, which they already did in the North America since like the World War I, even before that with Teddy Roosevelt. So that's just an issue where like, I guess the U.S. has to be like in a sense a world police, especially if they don't want, if their goal is not to have someone having a regional dominance to challenge the U.S.
That's the thing, though, is that then that's, as I was saying earlier, we've gotten ourselves involved in a situation that has put us in this place of being like the world's police that we shouldn't have really started out being in the first, like,
Well,
because 2005 was the first time that George Bush specifically said that the United States has a distinct responsibility to fight for freedom across the world. That's when
United States has a distinct responsibility.
that's the same guy who got us into this
I
whole
will argue
shit
it
mess
started
that
a
we're
long,
in right now.
long time ago after World War One, where everyone decimated and everyone relied on the U.S. dollar
Exactly.
to trade whatever.
Oh yeah, because the Great Depression.
So then that's
Yes.
why the
Yeah.
U.S. dollar became the international dollar that everyone's comparing their money to.
But you know what's crazy? All the debts that needed to be paid, they all ended up like going back to the U.S. anyways. So it's like they pay that person uses that money to pay this person back, and that person uses that money to do these
so they
reparations, and then it goes
exchange-
all the way back to the
Right,
U.S.
yes.
anyways, and it's crazy.
That's because the U.S. put their dollar off the gold standard.
Yeah.
Since when Richard Nixon, I think it's because I think the French president at the time tried, like the U.S. at the time, I think was involved in Vietnam War, and I was like, their currency is getting sketchy. So it's like, well, let's just trade all of this U.S. dollars that we have for
But
gold.
you know what's interesting is that if you look at the world before, the United States really became an official thing,
Yep.
Britain was like the United
Britain,
States.
France,
for sure.
Germany, Imperial Germany before the Nazi stuff.
And
they're all,
Britain controlled everything.
Britain had a lot of ships,
Yeah. Everything.
right? And
Spices,
they're
trade.
the empire that the sun never sets on.
Exactly.
The British Empire, because they have so
And now
many-
look at them. but I mean
Brexit.
that's something too. Did they get too involved in everything?
they got involved in literally everything, like back in the day. So
Yeah.
And we've kind of done the same thing.
I think, it's just only natural. I think the world is most stable when there's only one superpower. Because if you see the Cold War between two sides, there's always like countries taking sides, mainly because they're, especially the.
But could you
Iron
argue
Curtain
that
states.
China is a superpower in a
Yeah,
way?
that's
is.
what I'm
Russia
saying.
is a
So
superpower.
they're an increase. I think China's the
China's
next
the-
increasing
yeah.
world superpower that's going to challenge the U.S.
Wasn't it they're
and-
supposed to overtake us by 2020?
I mean, economically, you could say, but like
They're
the
not
per
gonna do
capita
that.
GDP is just trash. In China.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
gonna. They're not
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
do
that's
that.
true. Per capita GDP, yeah.
China
makes
has an
sense.
inflated ego.
Yeah.
They think they can.
I mean,
do
they're
this
money
shit.
manipulating all the time. So actually, their currency is not as strong as it
No.
But
because they have full control of all the markets and
Yep.
all the companies, which
Yep.
is why it's all manipulated.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's so crazy to think like, if we were to go to war with another country,
China's
It
probably
would- it would
why
most
World
likely
War
be
III happens.
China
Yeah.
or like North Korea.
North
or-
Korea
But,
would.
no, I mean,
to me,
it
North
wouldn't
Korea'd
be.
a
It would
joke,
be like,
honestly.
okay, you bomb someone, then your whole government is just gone. And
Yeah,
then, like,
Well, because here's the thing: is it's North Korea, but
North
it's not
Korea.
because if we just fought North Korea, we'd be fine. We would.
I mean, China
decimate
is
them.
technically allies, but I feel like at that point, especially if
But-
North Korea
but
steps out of line,
Russia,
just have a
North
cousin.
Korea and Russia
Yeah.
are friends,
Exactly.
and then you get China
mean,
involved.
it's the same way
and
as-
those three, they're best buds.
Would they really back up North Korea if
Yeah.
if Kim
Yep.
Jong Un does something
They
really
would.
stupid?
They would. They totally would.
I think China's a
they
little
have
smarter
enough-
Than that, but
No.
I mean, China
Okay.
only is allies
Well.
with North Korea because they don't want
They-
they don't want a refugee
What is
crisis.
right,
if
and-
their North Korea is gonna
North
die.
Korea.
and what does North Korea have? They have a nuke.
Nukes. The nukes.
the nukes.
And they have finance. Well, they're not. They don't have finances. China and Russia give them finance to make the nuke, which
But
means
we-
that if we go to war, they want to use the nuke.
But we would jump in with what?
And Saudi
Us?
Arabia and all them also contribute to North Korea, so they would
Us,
probably
yeah.
ally with them
In my
too.
opinion, if-
so we have two sides fighting
But it would
against
be
each other.
us, Canada, Great Britain, France,
Uh,
Germany.
If North Korea does something really stupid, like fire a nuke at South Korea, like China and Russia is probably like cut ties.
We're gonna stay out.
Definitely, because
We'll
like
stay
it's literally the whole world against you two.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is that
And like the
It
U.S.
would divide the
military
whole world
is,
in
like,
half,
3 times like,
pretty much.
more than.
well, it'd be like a
China.
45-degree angle, but
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, it'd be
I don't
us, Canada,
I don't know.
France,
In
Great
my opinion,
Britain,
I don't think World War III.
South
would,
Korea and Japan would support us.
Germany,
Yeah.
Japan, South Korea.
I'm just the whole world versus China
Yeah.
and Russia, basically. But in my opinion, I don't think World War III will ever happen because technically a lot of it it's like cyber.
I think we're too
and it's
scared
all AI.
to.
It's
Yeah.
also AI driven.
It'll be a different type
so
of
it's a
war.
different
That's
type
what
of
I'm
war. It's
saying.
not
Yeah.
going to be like a thing like glorified World War II, like World War
No.
I, people
No.
dying
No.
in honor or something. But it's more of a intellectual cyberspace kind of war.
I think
we are actually in the process of it right now.
I agree.
Ingrid.
I agree.
Like there's
with,
so much
with
cyber
Russia's
counter
meddling,
hacking.
and hacking.
So
Yeah,
it's like-
I think for sure it'll be cyber, but there will still be a good amount of like traditional conventional fighting. But I think everyone's like way too scared to use nukes.
Yeah.
No,
it's like playing
old.
chess.
Yeah, but it's like
Yeah.
if something happens and goes down, and a nuke is sent, then like the U.S. is like.
Well, the thing is, like a
pull
nuke
it
is
like
just
that.
inherently just screams like you're definitely gonna attack someone. But like if
Yeah.
you're developing technologies like AI,
Yep.
you could use it for civilian purposes and military
Yeah,
purposes.
I think
So that's
for
what
sure.
a lot of governments like China and U.S. are doing right now. They're just trying to build that dual type technologies
Yeah.
that are able to be passed off.
There's
as-
stuff for citizens.
It's
but
like
then there's also
it's
stuff
like it's
for the
like it's like
military.
thinking like you're building weapons. Like, are you building it because you're defending yourself, or you're actually attacking someone?
Yeah, preparing to attack.
Right.
Yeah, no,
So it's like that kind of
yeah.
power struggle.
It's
where
gonna-
like other countries then eventually fear each other, which is why there's that arms race. It's like, is it really for defense,
Yeah.
kind of thing?
no, yeah, there might be like a cyber arms race now because it's like
It's about the technology where you can have better AI
Yeah.
or whatever.
Like,
so that's the arms race we're having right now.
doesn't Russia have like a whole like
They have a cyber
fleet? They have a fleet of like people who like spread fake
Chinese
news, right?
Yeah.
hackers,
And yeah,
Russian-
like
Russian,
Chinese
yeah,
hackers and Russian hackers and all that.
The
shit.
U.S. does too, but we don't talk about it.
We
Yeah.
can't.
That's an inside source. I'm not gonna let you know about. But
Eesh.
I know a lady who has a family member. So yeah,
That's
that's all I'm gonna
Oh,
say.
Okay.
That's all I'm
Funny
gonna
thing.
say.
So the CIA picked him up.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Funny thing, my dad could
Can't say.
actually could
Hello,
have been
officer.
a CCP spy.
Oh.
He was actually invited after graduate school to like do this
What did you learn?
nefarious, like very vague meeting with the government officials.
That's crazy,
And it's like, yeah, we're just gonna ask some questions. Eventually, he didn't get the job.
bro. We're gonna have to bring your dad on sometime, man.
I know.
I can't wait.
keep
He
saying
was
that.
actually no. Okay, so all of his
Eloisa
friends,
said she can't wait either.
yeah, all of his like all of his classmates' friends are
Shout out to
like
Eloisa.
extremely rich because they are working with the Chinese
Because they
Communist
folded.
Party.
They folded with-
Because
to the
no,
party.
as long as you're with the party, your life is fine.
Yeah.
And I think especially because my dad going back to his dad, so my grandfather, he was also part of the CCP during the Civil War, like against the nationalists. And I
Right.
think the only reason why, like, because all his friends are like, all his smart friends are like joining the CCP at the time, but he decided not to because there's an altercation with my grandfather with another communist party, and it was like he ended up dying over some bar drunk thing,
Oh boy.
and like the other guy
Jeez.
just shot him, and so like, because of that, like my dad had second thoughts on joining
Yeah.
the CCP.
I forget that there was a Chinese Civil War too. I totally
that
forgot
happened.
about that.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
big. Yeah, they ceasefire because of Japan, and then they went back at it.
Crazy.
Yeah. No, but yeah, like there's gonna be a space war. No, I'm just kidding. But
No,
maybe.
but
maybe,
we-
No,
maybe
it's
As-
an espionage spy
As-
technological war.
No,
right
yeah,
now.
it's like a
As
Cold
of
War. Yeah.
as of June 4th, 2019,
Cold War Part 2.
WikiLeaks reported that the U.S. now has developed over 2,000 cyber weapons, making the U.S. the largest cyber arsenal,
Easy
which
money.
is because NSA has
and Google.
triggered some response to Russia. So I do think in many ways we're in a war that another silent war.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
a
We don't-
War,
We
another
don't-
Cold War.
It's slow. It's not
very
like
subtle
bam, Pearl Harbor.
because
bam.
it's happening in the cyber matrix,
Right.
whatever, and we can't see that.
Yeah, so we're just like, oh, cool, life's great. We're gonna keep,
Life could be
watching. I don't know,
YouTube. I don't know.
YouTube, sure.
Yeah, no.
Streaming Hulu.
Watching Backpack
Icky
Kid
Vicky, I don't
and whatever his name was from Target.
Yeah, exactly. We're just gonna keep
Yeah.
zoning out.
I just don't know when. I guess there'll be an actual
Ooh.
World War III intervention potential, like starting event, like Bosnia Archduke's thing or whatever, or Germany being aggressive. Like I don't think there's gonna be that ever again for like World War III purposes.
I think the world's just so connected now that we know that we're always watching.
Yeah.
Someone's always watching and ready whenever to go whenever. Like the thing is, we're not saying we're ready, but we always stay ready.
we're totally
Yeah.
ready.
Always ready.
Stay ready, never gotta get ready.
So the
you know?
military spending is quite much.
The military industrial complex.
even though it's still
Always
like,
sounded so cool.
like 1 or 2% of the actual U.S. spending, where the other spending is on other areas. All right, well, but not diving in a tangent from there. But
That's a whole other conversation.
Oh, but yeah.
Yeah.
Trump's starting that space army, feller.
Oh, Jesus.
wait, there's this really funny video where they put like Halo music over Mike Pence's
Yeah.
like video of like the space.
I forgot what it's called. The Space Force? That's
Yeah,
what
the
it is.
Space Force.
Yeah, the
The
Space
United
Force.
States Space
Yeah,
Force.
that's
So
so
fucking funny.
Yep.
Oh, man.
I remember when that was said, me and my cousins were like, "Oh shit, Halo's happening. Let's go join the Space Force, boys." And I was like, "That's fucking cool. The Spartan
So
program. Let's
funny.
go." No, but like imagine like it's gonna get to that point where we're not gonna fight down here because we don't want to destroy a bunch of shit. Because war
But
destroys.
we already tried.
things.
We already tried to do that though in World War II with the whole moon situation in Russia.
Yeah, guess.
Wait, like race to the moon? Or what?
Right.
I mean,
we're
that's
gonna
not
fight
really
in
like a
space.
military thing. It's more like a
But
technological.
it was.
we're kinda
But
better.
it was a technological military
sense,
thing.
I guess.
Because if Russia had made it to the moon first, that would have destroyed us.
Yeah.
It would have
I
destroyed
mean, they
morale.
already got the first satellite out.
And that's why we
That's what-
faked the moon landing, boys. We made them
Well, I
think
mean,
we
the
got
U.S. already
papers.
lost its pride a little bit through the first satellite by the Soviet Union.
Yeah, but
So,
the moon and a satellite are two totally
I
different
guess,
things.
but like it's like the first man-made object into space if it's from that frame.
I guess.
So
But
that's why it gutted us. And then
I
we're
still
like,
think the moon's a
Kennedy's
bigger deal.
like NASA
To
fund
land
We made them
to
think we made it
land
to space.
on another object in space is a
Mars.
much
We're thinking about Mars. I think China is preparing for Mars.
nah.
Elon Musk is prepping for Mars.
Nah.
You know,
No,
it's
We,
just-
we
it's
got
just-
Mars.
There's no point.
Mars
in going
Mars
to
is a
Mars.
Mars is a global effort. I think it's not one country. We're all. That's the thing too, is a lot of, people in astronomy and science, even though there are political and cultural divisions or whatever, a lot of countries scientifically work together. So usually it's more of a collaborative effort.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I don't think it's actually as going to be a big of a deal as we think it is. But
You know
that's
what's
my
crazy
opinion.
when you think about the moon landing? They were transmitting images and video from
Yeah.
the moon, but
Yeah.
sometimes my phone can't load a YouTube video on a Wi-Fi connection. Like, what? Why? That's so triggering.
It's so
'cause you
true.
put-
That's one thought that I think, like, they were
Puzzle.
able to broadcast images from the moon.
Because you don't matter. They
But,
matter.
but
But
sometimes
yeah, 'cause they
don't
put
matter.
all their
Sometimes
bandwidth
I
into the
can't
moon
load.
because it's a governmental effort.
Right.
The bandwidth we actually have now is not exactly very universal.
Like,
So
it's so stupid to think about that.
Yeah.
So. Hey, guys, my
right, maybe it's because of that FCC thing.
That too. Oh, that. Oh,
I don't know. I
don't
never
even get me
really.
started.
They're
I don't think
throttling
I
us.
ever noticed a change. Honestly, I mean, maybe because I'm actually privileged or whatever. But
They're throttling our usage.
Yep.
I know. I mean, I looked at the actual FCC, what they're actually gonna do, and they're gonna have their own like self restraints. Like, oh, we're not gonna actually try to like take out other people's bandwidths for competitive uses or whatever.
Did
And-
you? Oh, sorry. to interrupt. Did you hear about Disney?
Disney.
What do they do?
So y'all know about the new Disney Now thing, right?
Oh, the
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, yeah.
right. Is that why they're getting all their Disney movies off Netflix and stuff?
It's
to try to
a
get their own
Yes,
streaming?
but here's the thing. So Disney made a deal with Disney Plus's new thing. They've gotten a new marketing company data source that they're using. And basically this was in the New York Times, basically what they're going to do is they now have the ability to access all data from this person's
I think I
Yeah,
remember
whatever.
seeing this privacy issue. Too.
Yeah. So if you go on the internet and search, not even logged into anything, just using a general thing like Google,
Okay.
and you look up a lion Halloween costume, well, guess what? Doesn't matter what you're watching on Disney Plus, you'll get an advertisement about the Lion King. Or you'll get an advertisement about Halloween costumes from the Lion King. Or anything. So it's the idea that now not only can they just search and see whatever's going on in your, general search history and, personal profiles and IPS address and all that, but now anything's game for Disney to just use as marketing.
It's tough.
which is
It's like TikTok taking any music property because they can,
Right.
and they're Chinese.
Yeah,
and it's an info. Oh God, no, no, I didn't go there. But
an
it's
info war.
Infowars.
yeah,
Oh,
I didn't
boy.
want to say it. But we're fighting a different kind
Jones.
of. Oh God, no, please, no.
Yeah, go on.
I didn't want
Sorry,
to go there.
A different kind of issue.
I'm not a huge.
Information is capital now.
Yes,
Information is
that's what I'm
valuable.
saying. Is that our information? We don't even. Our value is in our information
Yeah.
that we are, rather than who we are.
Yeah, no, it's a war on information. That's
Right.
that's why Facebook is such a war ground for advertisement, because
Yeah.
they had the Russian teams, the Russian hacking teams, and whatever teams, North Korean hacking teams, like just fucking pull stupid, fake titles on Facebook. And I
Yeah.
know people don't read shit on Facebook. I know people don't read. They just read the headlines and they share it, and that's
Yeah.
why like all these people are like, oh yeah, like whatever,
Okay.
whatever you believe on meddling. Like people are like, oh yeah, I support Trump because I read this on Facebook. Like that's meddling, and then like yeah,
Did you see? Y'all who know who James O'Keefe is? Project
I heard of
Veritas.
him.
Project Veritas. Does it ring a bell at all?
I think you sent it to me.
Okay.
I remember reading Veritas.
Yeah. So the news. Did you see the CNN thing that came out? Maybe about all the undercover footage from CNN.
Yeah.
yeah.
The head.
That was him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah, you told me about this.
yeah. So please do look up the undercover footage. Project Veritas. They're a
Trump.
yeah, no, but that.
Yeah.
So CNN. I'll just give a summary here. So CNN pretty much, they're the president of CNN, which is just a lovely human individual. Trump and him had worked together for a while, and they got him on The Apprentice. But then after a certain point, Trump was like, "Yup, YOLO, I'm out of this. I'm gonna do my own thing." And of course, CNN's president was not too happy about that because it made him a lot of money. And so he already didn't like him. And then when he ran for president, they were like, okay, now we have beef. So that started that. And then, of course, CNN became a thing, and he became the president of CNN. So constantly, all he wants to do is literally push. And he says this in his own words, so you can look it up and you can see it for yourself. He literally says, we want to push impeachment. We need to focus on impeachment.
Mm-hmm.
So all the people who want to report on stories that they don't agree with, or stories that are going on in their personal lives that they want pushed, don't agree with, a certain narrative. They're like, hey, this guy got shot down the street. We want to report on this. No.
Nah.
We need to focus on this.
Mm-hmm.
Or
So-
somehow Reed can direct that.
Right.
To how Trump.
But that connects to the Facebook topic here, because a majority of the news sources that they use, or sources that they use on CNN and on, these major things, are from Facebook, because that's what happens. It's a
Yeah.
gotcha thing, because they think Facebook, they're all in bed together. They're all friends. All these major corporations.
Yeah.
But
like the mainstream media, or
yeah. And that's another war,
including Fox.
Swamp.
So then we give our information, and then the company basically uses the
Pushes
information to
ads.
sort, and then we look up at the television, and that's a reflection of all the processes that just went on. And somehow that's supposed to give us more information about ourselves. I don't know. It just...
There's such a funny anecdote that goes along with that Facebook point. Like, I remember seeing a bunch of these people sharing this one article, and the headline was, Avatar: The Last Airbender is now on Netflix. And people were like sharing it. They're like, oh yes, finally, I'm gonna fucking binge watch this shit. And I was like, let me just look at this title and the web address, and it said whatever.au, and I was like, you guys are fucking idiots. I can just see from the web address it's for Australia.
Yep.
And then I click through, I check the date, and I read through, it's like Australia, and I'm like, you idiots. And then I go into the comments, and people are like, oh, what? It's not on there. I checked it. I'm like, it says for Australia, you fucking idiots. This is why you need to be a smart consumer of media. And I'm like, that's whatever I do. Like, if I see the source and I'm like, that's a sketchy source anyways, I don't believe it. If it's whatever, if it's Daily Mail, whatever, then I'll look into it. Look at the date published, and if it's an old article, then I'm like, you guys are idiots. You didn't check the date published anyways. And then like, yeah, I just judge for myself. Like, these people are so dumb. Like who doesn't check this?
And that's the thing is that we're living in a world where we have to be our own advocates.
Yeah.
We have to do our own investigation. We have to make our own opinions, and we cannot, no matter how much we want to, rely on the sources that are around us.
Right.
Because they're all extremely influenced.
Or you could use multiple sources.
Exactly.
To form your own opinion.
But even then, they're still influenced by people with a ton of money.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so crazy because like I wrote about that for my screen like introduction to critical media studies class too. I was like, we ourselves, our generation that is pinched between baby boomers and this Gen Z.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself a Gen Z person. I think I'm more of a millennial anyways. But like the middle generation, like our
Gen
age
X.
to maybe, mid 30s, people who are
Yeah.
mid 30s today, like we are the ones who can consume media correctly.
Yeah.
The older people, they believe headlines. They believe, fake stuff that they see because they don't know that there's technology that can fake people's voices or,
Wait,
or,
are you
or
talking
fake images.
as a millennial? Or-
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm speaking as millennial, and then there's these Gen Z kids who are like, too young to understand what being a good consumer can do for you, and so they perpetuate whatever, and they look at stupid stuff all day. They're young, so they're influenced. They're they're easily influenced, and it's like
Or I just think it's like, our whole world's the shit, so we're just going to make fun of it.
yeah, we have
Yeah.
to be the smart consumers,
Honestly,
and we have to
That's interesting.
coach
We got the
the
pants
older
in the
and the
society.
younger. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wait, I would consider myself like Gen Z more than millennial, honestly.
See, and that's I think because
It's
I'm
a
not
dilemma,
okay. I'm
yeah.
99.
I'm 99.
2000.
Oh,
Okay. Well,
See, this is like me. This is like me
A
considering.
whole year.
This is
I'm
me
actually
considering
better
myself
because
a
I
90s
can
kid.
remember what my age is because I'm born.
Well, the same as us. Same as us. Yeah,
Well, but you're 99.
I know, but
Yeah, I'm
whatever year
19
it is,
Sure, but then you have to plus.
I'm that year. No. It's
Yeah.
It's 2019. I'm 19.
yeah.
I'll be 20 next month, but
sure,
yeah, it's
until
gonna be
then.
2020 shortly after that. So I'm 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, fair.
Yeah, but it works for us. But that's like me considering myself a 90s kid, even though I'm not a true 90s kid because I was born in '99. But like, I feel like I identify more
I
with
feel like
millennials
because
anyways.
you have so many older siblings.
Yeah,
right?
I have a ton of
That's
older siblings, so
definitely
I
a
know
lot
I
of-
know that history. But it's like, there's good things about Gen Z as well. I mean, we're supposed to pick up the slack for the rest of the world, and so there's a dilemma there. I feel like I fall in between both.
I feel like though a lot of Gen Zers, because if you look at a lot of interviews and things on the street or whatever, just opinions and things, a lot of them don't play that game.
No.
Especially the ones that are like in their teens now.
Yeah, they're
They don't play that game.
Yeah.
They're like, no, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, bruh. And that's gives me hope.
yeah.
At least that we have some sound mind people in here. But
There's some though, but then there's
then there's
also
the,
like
oh god.
Backpack Kid and like all that
I think
stupid
that
shit.
it's just a
in Fortnite,
maturity issue kind
Yeah.
of thing. But
Yes.
like, once they grow older, I think the mindset of the Gen Z is definitely gonna be different.
I've
than,
wondered
like,
about
millennials.
we talked about the parenting thing too, but
Yeah.
I wondered about that as an influence.
I mean, I think for sure, as a Gen Z person, we're supposed to change the world. And I think millennials are
Are millennials changing the world?
millennials are concerned
the-
with taking care of the baby boomers.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
But they're slowly becoming the one in
They're
charge, right?
they're yeah, they're becoming the ones in charge, but then again, they're like depressed and down about the world because
Right.
they had to take on loans and whatever, and they were forced to go the traditional route of schooling because they had to take care
I
of
feel
their
like I
baby
don't know.
boomer
Me
parents, for
personally, I
sure.
think the millennial generation, especially the older millennials, are kind of spoiled by the boomer.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, the hippies.
But then the same thing is like they have to take care of their parents.
Parents. Right, but they're not taught like the hardships of life from an early age because of that, like like spoiling of the children at a young age, childhood.
Yeah, no, they
So-
were too spoiled, so then that reality hit them later. in
Right,
life,
so
and then
it's
they got
like-
sad about it.
Yeah.
Like, Dad, no.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
don't do what I did when I was a kid. And we're like, yo, we haven't even considered that. Like,
And I feel like Gen Z is more like you can see the mistakes of
Yeah.
the millennials.
Yeah.
So,
which is why we're all pissed at our education.
right.
I mean, if you look at all of us and you're like, you look at your
Fuck
person next to you and you're like, what the hell is this? And they're like, right? Like, like everybody hates. Like we all know it's dumb.
Yeah,
And we look at the teacher and we're like, yeah, we all know this is stupid,
Cool,
but you
you didn't-
implemented this because the generation before me
wanted to push something.
Right.
Cool, you're getting paid to teach us this, but like I don't feel like I need to be here anyways.
Yeah.
I could be working on one specific job, learning one specific thing for that job that'll help me take me far in that industry. But
And yet I'm sitting here
I need
doing
to be
business
well
work.
rounded. Yeah, I need to be well rounded.
Like technical college.
Yeah, I know. Like
I think there should be more apprenticeships, honestly.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm like,
Thank
where are
you for
personal
saying
war
that.
time, baby. Let's go. Personal wars.
Personal war.
Personal wars? Yeah, we're at the
Seriously.
hour mark, but we can go more.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Let's do it. Personal war.
No, yeah, it's like, such a personal war about. I remember this week too. I think it was just yesterday. A buddy of mine. I think he's a year older than me, but like I think he plays soccer like semi-pro.
Yeah.
But then he was like, I'm sitting here thinking, why didn't I go to college? And like, he realizes that it is a waste. You accrue all this debt just to take on all this learning, but
It goes nowhere.
yeah, it goes nowhere. You're gonna drop all that, and you're gonna get retrained on the job that you get anyways.
Yep.
Even though you have a college degree.
Yep.
It's just that degree opens up more opportunities for you. Yes, it does. But
Mm-hmm.
then you could also just put your head down and work and earn money without accruing debt.
Preach.
Yeah, and like I remember seeing all these comments too. It was like, good for you that you decided not to go to college. And I was like, yeah, that's really good. And I was about to chime in, but I was like, it's the way that our parents were taught, especially being immigrant and refugee origins.
Yep.
And it's all like, it's cool. Yeah, I see the value in education and being really well rounded. Like I can, speak well, write well, do most things well. But it's like, what is that gonna do for me in the future?
interesting.
Like
I
I'm
guess
not gonna
it's
use
like-
math. I'm not gonna use science.
Especially for the liberal arts
Yeah.
degree, I'm kind of skeptical. It's more like you're jack of all trades but master of none. I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
nowadays you have to be in like some sort of specialty to like do something.
And that's one thing that my dad and I always talk about, because he's like, when I tell him like I want to do art therapy or whatever, he's like, that's so specific. But I'm like, literally, ask anyone on campus what they want to go into someday, and it's hella suspicious.
Yeah.
vague.
Yeah.
Pacific.
Specific or
Hella
vague?
Pacific, yes,
Specific,
across the ocean.
okay.
Specific. Like, if you're going to be a producer, or you're going to be a, I don't know,
Producers kind of
sound tech.
okay. That's more.
I'm just, I mean, like, these things
professional speaker.
require, right, but they acquire an apprenticeship or
Yeah.
an internship or something that you have to do to get really good at,
Yeah.
and
you
then
need that experience.
put your whole life into it.
Yep.
Because we've run out of the major things to do. I mean, you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer. Sure, those are things that are always going to be there, but it's definitely very, very, very
But
competitive.
even still though, like you waste 4 years of your
Mm-hmm.
time going through general education
just to do
and
that.
into your major just to
Yeah.
go to 6 more years to be, like actually specifically certified.
Well, and that goes back to the whole point about dumbing down education. I mean, think about like when we're like my whole time in high school. If you read, excerpts from people back, there's an excerpt in one of Fitzgerald's memoirs about how he ended up going to college and graduating at the age of 18.
Mhm.
Like, dude,
Wait.
why? What? Huh?
Because school is
Like,
dumb.
what? I've wasted, but they kind of want it that way. Because think about it this way: the longer you sit here, the more money they're making.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what are they? They're an institution.
Yeah.
College is a
institution.
business.
They want money. They're a business. They're like the media.
Marketing.
At the end of the day, what is the media? They're a business.
Yeah.
They're gonna do anything to get your attention.
It's so crazy because a lot of times I think I could totally not just be here right now
Yeah.
and be
Yep.
Right.
making money.
I could be working. I
Yeah.
could be doing, and that thought plagues me every day.
Yeah.
Is that your personal war?
That is my personal war.
Yeah.
I want to be productive. I want to have a job. I want to work.
I want to get into my passion. Like, so if I'm just starting, then I'm just starting. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
learn. I'm gonna
Yeah.
learn every single step of the way, every single day. Like, let me just dive into it. You
Yeah.
know, I don't need this.
Yeah.
That's why they call it work.
I don't need science. I don't need.
know?
I don't need this. Chemistry, biology credit to do
Yeah.
video design or
I'm
photography
learning about
or
rocks.
speaking.
It's kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Okay,
know,
cool.
it's so.
And it's
dumb.
ridiculous. And that's the thing too that is funny is that I feel like, and I've said this too, but the internet is almost like a portable college
Yes.
in a way.
That was on that post too from my older brother.
Yeah.
My older buddy. He was like, a lot of people are like, yeah, if you can YouTube and Google most
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
They will teach you everything for free.
And that's the thing. It's like you go to a college, and I feel like sometimes when I'm curious and I want to learn something,
You do it on your own.
Right.
I do it on
No,
my own.
like,
Yeah.
And I learn way more than I do in
yes,
class.
Yes, like in high school, Khan
And it's
Academy
free.
did a lot better than my teachers. And right now, my hometown friends, like, some of them don't even go to lectures because they like literally don't learn anything, and they just like look on their own videos online of how to do calculus or whatever.
And it's so crazy because like the best learning comes from your passion to want to learn about the subject.
Right.
And it sticks. People learn to pass a quiz. They learn to pass a test, and then it's gone. But the best learning, the best knowledge comes from passion.
Yep. And that's the thing too, is if you look at historically what college was used for, it was used for people with needed an institutional certification, like doctors, lawyers, I don't know.
I mean, the old school liberal arts degrees was
Scientist?
kind of more into the actual like.
You could be a doctor of history, and you could be a doctor of anything.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's the idea that if you specifically wanted to be a certified something in a career, that's where you went to school for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now everybody goes to college,
Yep.
and that's the problem.
And I think that's where we sort of identify with the millennials too. It's like we accrue so much debt because we're just here because we're told that the track is that was on the post too. Like we're taught that the track is the American dream is to follow your education into college.
At the end of the day, though, why are we here?
Yeah. Wait. Did you guys like?
Because
I don't know.
that's the war. Like,
Wait. Did
like
you guys
why
like?
are we here?
Wait. Did you guys realize like how much like you think about economically like the debt or whatever you have to pay before you went to college or like after? I'm just curious.
Before,
Before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially when that financial aid package hit, I was like, oh, okay,
Gotta compare my
It's not
options.
that bad, I guess. But it's like, I'll come out with, maybe 10K,
Yeah.
10K, 12K. But it's like, still, I just got the alert that I was like, oh, your student account is over $500.
no.
Like, you have to come in and talk to us. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go and give them the whole spiel again. And then, we'll make a payment plan so I can register for classes.
Right.
And then it'll come again, come in spring for fall. Go in, talk to them. Oh, make a payment plan. And then I'll be, good to register for
Is
classes.
that like
Then
more
it's like,
loans or what? Is it?
it's a payment plan plus loans just to get it below $500, and then then you come back for the next year, and then you get placed in different housing, and that's
It's like purgatory.
Yeah, and so that's the whole thing. It's
all colleges is fucking purgatory.
no, I remember
Jesus.
figuring out that cycle last year. I was like, well, how did my brother do it? Because I know he didn't pay for his own college,
Yeah.
or whatever. And it's like you just go in, you talk to them, say you're gonna make a payment plan. Cool. You're gonna take out loans. Cool. That's gonna get you below $500. Cool. And then again, if you're not working, then you're not chunking away at that student account. And then again, you go back in for the next semester, and then you say the same thing. Okay, I'm gonna make a payment plan. This is it. Well, I'm gonna take out more loans, and that's fine. You get below $500. Let me get approved. And you just do that until you're under your 4 years. You graduate, and then you have all this debt, and it's like, okay, now I start paying it away, and it's so dumb.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. I guess like for
money,
me,
money.
my personal. I mean, I guess it's different from you, like what my purpose, I guess, here at Gustavus or what Gustavus offers.
Yeah.
I guess it's like, because like I'm less focused on the actual classes personally,
Right.
Yeah.
and I'm kind of like trying to build like a resume off of like KGSM radio. Thank you for providing this nice space.
No, yeah, I'm trying to
And,
pull everything out of the social aspect of college.
That's
right,
me.
that too.
That's
yeah, I
me.
think that's more important. Building connections.
Yeah, that networking.
Yep.
And like
That's all I'm here
eventually,
for.
like when we grow up to be 30 or something, like we can like talk back to each other, like, hey, I know you. And, like,
Yeah, I know this
have-
guy.
Remember
Yes.
that shitty class?
I know
we
this
took?
guy does sound design.
Yeah,
This
but
guy,
like
I can
suddenly
pull him up real
now we
quick.
have similar interests in our job or whatever. And
Yeah.
that's where the actual like upward momentum in terms of career happens.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
through connections, not actually titles.
Yeah.
Because employers, if you're an employer, like you would probably hire someone you're familiar with, like your friend's son or
Yep.
something, versus some random guy like
And
graduate
that's
from the U.
nepotism.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Nepotism.
Yeah, but for me, I guess it's just like I'm just gonna do here. I'm not sure if it's radio or music or whatever, but I guess my communication studies degree, I can like BS
Gang.
something from my interview. Like, well, I could communicate well, and that will my skills I learned from my communication studies major.
Major.
Sorry, I
words are
can't
not working
talk.
today.
Yeah. Like it definitely helps me fit the job.
Right.
Like something weird like that. That's kind of what I did on my last midterm test. But
I went to school. I got a sheet of paper.
Yeah.
And then I came out and I went to my
sent
passion.
me the questions. They gave me some questions. I was like, okay, words. Let me try to extrapolate something. So I think that's communication studies in interview process. You just make a bunch of, because it's super vague.
Yeah.
And I mean, from that, I also can back up with like music and whatever, and like actual physical accomplishments versus a degree, which I guess could be an accomplishment, but I feel like it's so common because everyone's going to college.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's like, if you don't know what you want to go to school for, then why are you here?
That's 1.2.
Why are you wasting all this money?
One point that we had in a conversation that I've had like multiple times last year is like, what is college for? One, college could be for people who don't know what they want to do, but then again, college is for people who do know what they want to do.
Yeah,
right.
Those are two very different categories.
But then again, if you do know what you want to do, then why are you here?
Yeah,
like you can just jump into that field.
Right,
anyways.
right.
Because here's the thing: the reason I'm here is that I'm very interested in expanding my intellectual capacity. I want to get better at writing. I want to get better at reading. I want to get. That's.
You can just do that on the internet, right? And do some writing.
I can, but for me, it's a social thing.
Okay.
For my career, I need to have. Pretty much, I don't need to have a certification, but it helps to have a certification for one, to back up what I'm saying, and for another, the social connections.
I mean, you could still go to
professional
like
career jobs that I can go towards.
Right.
It's harder to get into those jobs that I'm hoping to get into without. And also, if I do go into art therapy, I need to have at least a master's degree. So,
like doctors,
right.
Well, that's so crazy though. Why not just a certification through apprenticeship? That's
apprenticeship. Yes.
Yep.
Like I trained under this person. He's the best of the best.
I mean, I think with psych, you're dealing with medical things.
Yeah,
so
I know.
It's
like
that's a whole different.
Say by me, like I'm a comm major. I like to speak.
Right.
I love to speak.
Yeah.
And I say I'm good at it, but it's like
let
me get.
And that's why comm studies to me, no offense, is kind of bullshit.
It is
because it's like you're
doing something you do every single day.
Exactly.
You're just learning the technical side.
Exactly.
Of it. Yeah. And like.
I think
it's
making it too complicated for what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so BS because like they work in lit reviews and like writing papers, and it's like I get that I can communicate through writing, but what the fuck is a lit review supposed to do?
Honestly,
for me,
all the terms they throw out. So what?
Like a lit review is only good if you're like a professor pursuing studies and like writing papers and shit. But like. It's like let me go on the road.
Teach me how to use Excel.
Let me go on the road with a person who does TED Talks. Let me go on the road with a person who does motivational speaking. Let me go work for a nonprofit company that deals with kids who are in 5th grade and does bullying retreats. Like, let me do that.
You can do that if you have connections.
Right, but then it's like
it's
the certification matters so much. But then again, there's a movement realizing that it's just a piece of paper.
Right.
And that's one thing that I've noticed, because I've worked a lot of jobs, but one thing that I've noticed is every time I go for an interview, they never really ask me what my transcript. They never ask me anything. It's always,
what's your experience?
What's your experience?
Yeah, I think experience is more worthy.
And that's why a lot of these college kids can't find jobs because they have no experience and they have no charisma and they have no intellectual communication, communication ability. Oh, I have a communication degree. Oh, well, what do you enjoy doing?
Watching Netflix.
No, it's so crazy. Like, I know I don't have that much work experience per se, but like, I'm fucking like charismatic and I'm
exactly.
Yeah, I know what
you
I'm
have a
passionate
passion.
about. Yeah, and it's like I can put my heart to anything and go far. Like, just give me some direction and I'll see what I can do. See what I can pull.
This is an experience right now.
Right.
Yeah, whenever I talk about stuff like this, is like I usually use the business major as a comparison, where like you can get a major in business using how much you pay to get into college, 20,000, whatever.
Yeah.
Or you can use that 20,000 and actually start your own business and like do something from there. And then if you're trying to like partner with someone or get a job somewhere, then you can say like, well, I have the actual experience of using real world stuff,
going to an internship under a small business owner,
right?
Degree in business. Which I don't think is worth it.
I did that with my uncle this summer. Like, he's a small business owner because he owns his own small state farm firm, and he was like, let me teach you what about being a small business owner is all about.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this is cool because like I came into college thinking I was going to be a business major, but then I was like, fuck all this economic math. Why am I learning to pinpoint price and all that and all that stuff? And
In a
it's
way,
like,
it's important.
in a way, it's important. But then again, there's another aspect of business that is communication. Like,
It's intuition and communication.
What am I supposed to do with my team? How am I supposed to communicate if there's an
You're
issue?
gonna file our taxes sometimes.
Yeah.
So that
Who is my? It's all about marketing.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all businesses. It's
Yeah.
marketing.
And communication goes into marketing.
Yep. Yep.
Cool. I think we should probably.
Yep.
wrap
Probably
up
wrap it
sometime,
up.
Ah, so passionate at the end.
I
Apple
know.
of the day.
I
know.
love
This
it.
is a great episode.
Ooh.
What is your apple of the day, Greta?
Well, my apple of the day is that we all have wars. We have two sides to war. There's, the part of us, personal wars, mental wars. We didn't even address, physical health wars that go on every day, depression, anxiety, that kind of thing. Part of you, you're always battling each part of that. And I think it's important to recognize that you have the decision to get up every day and to fight.
Yep.
You have the choice to make your own decisions, to determine your own ability to do things, and it's all up to you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Scary, but it's your personal fight, and there's a lot of things we can learn from war. And that's my apple.
Yeah. War changes people, but we all have our own wars to fight. One step at a time, one round at a time, one punch at a time. However cliche that sounds, but yeah, like you said, you have that ability to keep fighting. It is your war to fight, but it's also your war to sit out of. But it's gonna destroy you if it's gonna destroy you, and if you don't have any say in it, then you're just gonna sit there passively and wonder what happened.
Yeah.
You have your ability to step in whenever you want.
All right. Mine.
Daniel?
Do your own research. Seriously.
Preach.
like whatever you're into, like what kind of career, just being more knowledgeable in general, help building that wisdom through connections, research, like information from the world, whatever that is, definitely helps you out to become a more mature and well-rounded person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be prepared for your war. You will have your wars in life.
Metaphorically or actually.
Yeah.
All right, that's a wrap.
That is episode 7. War.